What's good, YouTube? This your man Spill Dog. I think the reason why Devin Haney was uh is anxious to or is willing to fight Brian Norman is I really believe he think Brian Norman is gonna be slow, gonna have slow feet and not gonna be able to stop, not gonna be able to keep up with him because Devin gonna be boxing and moving that whole night if they fight. I said this when it first came out, and I feel like it's the right fight, definitely for Brian Norman and to some degree Devin, because if he gonna move up, he been a champion at 130, I think at 135, 140. Only makes sense to go after the champ. I expected Devin to be the first one to fight Boots. I made that a video about that before Devin fought Ryan Garcia. I really thought Devin was gonna be the one to step the Boots once he got to 147 and be his first big fight. But instead it's Brian Norman Jr. And I can see how both guys, I'm riding with Norman Jr. all the way in this fight against Devin, but if he can't cut the ring off and catch up with Devin and start, landing shots and not just follow him around the ring, it could get ugly fast. He has got to get out there early, put some hands on Devin, and get in his chest before at the very outset of this fight. Cause if he let Devin get up 3-4 rounds, he in trouble. Cause Devin is not gonna stand there and trade punches with him. That ain't gonna happen. And you seen how Devin ran around with Ramirez. It's gonna be worse against Brian Norman because Norman is better than Ramirez, hit harder than Ramirez. And it's just like I was telling you before, a lot of these fighters, especially the ones from the Midwest and up north, don't respect boxers from Georgia. They feel like they robotic and they just straightforward fighters who don't use their feet. And I really believe Devin thinking, I'll box circles around this dude. That's what he's thinking. Good part for Brian Norman Jr. is his father was a professional fighter. I'm sure his father, if he didn't fight guys like Devin, he's seen a lot of guys like Devin and how they fight. And the fact that they took this fight, one is for the money, but two, it's a winnable fight for both parties. And as long as Brian Norman can cut that ring off and not just follow Devin around the ring all night, he can put Devin in a bad position where he gonna have to fight or lose. If Brian Norman can get the lead on Devin and force Devin to have to stand there and fight from time to time, he may knock Devin out. I think if Brian Norman started landing clean punches on Devin, he'll get him up out of there. I really believe that. But I don't think he's gonna be able to tee off on Devin like that too often. But I do think he's a good enough fighter to cut that ring off and do enough to get the decision or knockout in this fight. But I'll be honest with you, I would rather for him to get a knockout than go 12 rounds against somebody like the Haneys, who got a lot of influence in boxing. It's a lot of corruption in the sport. You don't know who could be under the table paid as far as a judge. And I hate to say stuff like that, but boxing is a dirty sport, straight up. It's a lot of shady shit going behind the scenes in boxing. And for me, a lot of times, when you're dealing with fighters that's high profile and got these big names, the best thing to do is knock them out if you can, and don't let it go to the scorecards, because they rob motherfuckers all the time in boxing. And I got a funny feeling Brian Norman his name don't have the cachet that Devin name have, and if it go 12 rounds, he could get robbed out there. So hopefully I'm sure his father gonna be preparing him for all of this. And I don't think, they know how Devin fights. So if he took that fight like that, he must know he can deal with a fighter of his caliber that's gonna fight the way Devin gonna fight. And he feel like he'll be able to lay hands on him. And I do know this. Devin was always one of them guys that fall asleep between set round 7 and 10 and get caught with a big punch by damn all the good fighters he been in there with. You know, a couple of times he done got shook, and then Ryan actually knocked him down a few times. So as long as Norman is set and ready, when that opening present itself, and lay some and blast him up out of there when the time comes. But it's the perfect fight for both of these guys at this particular time, and I can't wait to see what happens, man. I think it's gonna be a great fight. I can't say if it's gonna be any action or not, because if it's Devin's way, it's gonna be boring as hell. He's gonna be running around the ring all night. But if Brian Norman can have it his way, we'll get some excitement, because he's gonna lay hands on somebody and try to get Devin up out of there. But it's kind of close to a 50-50 fight in my opinion, because they got completely different styles, and I feel like whichever fighter can dictate whose style is the way the fight is gonna go will win the fight. If Brian Norman can stop Devin from running and force him to have to actually stand there and fight some, he win the fight. If Devin can keep Brian Norman following him around the ring and moving his feet and not letting him set his feet to get his shots off, he could win. So it's gonna be an intriguing fight, man. And that's gonna be one that, as the fight get closer and closer, a lot of people gonna be flip-flopping on who they think gonna win. I'm riding all the way with Brian Norman Jr., but this is by no stretch of imagination a foregone conclusion who gonna win this fight. It's gonna be a good one. But that's it for me on this video. If you like the video, hit the like and subscribe. Till the next time, it's your boy Spill Dog. I'm out.